Toxic people have a way of getting under your skin. They know exactly what to say to trigger you, exactly what to do to make you react. And the worst part is that when you get angry or bothered, they win. Because that reaction is what they want. It gives them power. It proves they can control your emotions. And the cycle continues until you decide it stops. But here's what most people don't realize. Not getting angry or bothered by toxic people isn't about controlling your emotions through force. It's about shifting how you see them, how you process their behavior, and what you allow to affect you. And once you make these shifts, toxic people lose their power over you completely. Before we start, like the video and subscribe to LifeBased for more insights about the patterns shaping your life and relationships. Let's get into it. Number 1, stop taking their behavior personally. The first reason toxic people bother you is because you're interpreting their behavior as being about you. They insult you and you think there's something wrong with you. They criticize you and you believe you're not good enough. But toxic behavior is never about you. It's always about them. Their insecurity, their pain, their need for control. And when you truly understand that their actions reflect their character and not your worth, it stops affecting you the same way. This is a mental shift that changes everything. When someone is cruel to you, instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" you start asking, "What's wrong with them?" They're projecting their own issues onto you. They're trying to make you feel small because they feel small. And once you see that clearly, their words lose power because you're not taking them as truth. You're recognizing them as projection. And projection from a toxic person means nothing about who you are. This doesn't mean their words don't sting in the moment. It means you don't let them define you. Number 2, understand that getting angry gives them exactly what they want. Toxic people thrive on reactions. They say something inflammatory and wait for you to explode. Because when you get angry, when you lose your composure, you've given them control. They've successfully manipulated your emotions. And that feeling of control, that ability to make you react, that's what they're after. So when you refuse to give them that reaction, when you stay calm and unbothered, you take away their power. This requires awareness in the moment. You feel the anger rising. You feel the urge to snap back, to defend yourself. But you pause. You recognize what's happening. This is a test. They want a reaction. So instead, you choose not to play the game. You stay calm. You respond with indifference, or you don't respond at all. And that lack of reaction is more powerful than anything you could say. Watch what happens when you don't react. They escalate. They try harder because they're not getting what they want. And that frustration they feel, that's proof that your non-reaction is working. Eventually, they give up because toxic people don't waste energy on people they can't control. And when you refuse to be controlled by staying calm, they move on to someone who will give them the reaction they're looking for. Number 3, lower your expectations of them to 0. One of the reasons toxic people bother you is because you keep expecting them to act differently. You expect them to be reasonable, to be kind, and every time they don't, you're disappointed, hurt, angry. But here's the shift. When you accept that toxic people are going to behave toxically, when you expect nothing from them, they can't disappoint you because you're no longer surprised by their behavior. This is about acceptance, not acceptance that their behavior is okay, but acceptance that this is who they are, and they're not going to change, not for you, not for anyone. Once you accept that reality, you stop feeling bothered when they act exactly as you should have expected. They insult you? Of course they did. They lie? That's what they do. And when their behavior becomes predictable, it loses its power to upset you. Lowering your expectations doesn't mean you tolerate their behavior. It means you stop expecting them to be someone they're not. You see them clearly for who they are, and you adjust how you interact with them accordingly. You don't engage deeply. You don't share personal things. You keep it surface level and protect yourself. And that distance, that emotional detachment from expecting anything from them, that's what keeps you from being bothered. Number 5, detach emotionally from their chaos. Toxic people operate in chaos. drama, conflict, and they want to pull you into it. They want you upset, reactive, emotionally invested in whatever mess they're creating. But the moment you emotionally detach, the moment you stop caring about their drama, it can't affect you. This is about creating emotional distance. You see what they're doing, but you don't feel it. You hear what they're saying, but it doesn't land because you've disconnected emotionally from their chaos. This detachment is a skill. It takes practice, but it starts with recognizing that their chaos is not your responsibility. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to engage with it. You can observe it from a distance, recognize it as toxic behavior, and choose not to let it affect your emotional state. You become like a wall. Their chaos hits you and bounces off. It doesn't penetrate because you're not absorbing it. You'll know you've mastered this when you can be around a toxic person and feel nothing, not anger, not frustration, just indifference, because you've emotionally detached from anything they say or do, and that indifference is the ultimate protection. They can be as toxic as they want, and you remain unbothered, not because you're forcing yourself to be calm, but because you genuinely don't care about their behavior anymore. Number 6, reframe their behavior as information, not an attack. Every time a toxic person does something, you have a choice in how you interpret it. You can see it as an attack on you, or you can see it as information about them. And that reframe changes everything. When they insult you, instead of feeling attacked, you gather information. They're insecure. When they manipulate, you gather more information. They're controlling. And you're building a complete picture of who this person is, not based on who you want them to be, but based on what they're showing you. This reframe removes the emotional charge because you're not taking it personally. You're observing behavior and collecting data, and that data tells you how to handle this person going forward. You now know they're not trustworthy, so you don't trust them. You know they're manipulative, so you don't let them manipulate you. And all of that knowledge came from their behavior. They gave you the information you needed to protect yourself. This shift puts you in control. You're no longer a victim of their behavior. You're an observer gathering information, and observers don't get emotionally involved. They watch, they learn, and they adjust accordingly. And that level of detachment is what keeps you from getting angry or bothered, because you're not in the chaos with them. You're outside of it, watching and protecting yourself. Not getting angry or bothered by toxic people isn't about suppressing your emotions. It's about shifting your perspective, protecting your peace, and refusing to give them power over your emotional state. When you stop taking their behavior personally, refuse to give them the reaction they want, lower your expectations, choose peace over being right, emotionally detach from their chaos, and reframe their behavior as information, they can't affect you anymore. Not because they've changed, but because you have, and that change is what sets you free. If you found this helpful, like the video and subscribe to LifeBased for more insights about the patterns shaping your life and relationships. Thanks for watching.